Let's bring in right now the president of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, the Reverend Al Sharpton, the co-founder and CEO of All In Together, Lauren Leader, and the congressional correspondent for the New York Times, Annie Carney. She's a co-author of the upcoming book, Madhouse, How Donald Trump, MAGA Mean Girls, a former used car salesman, a Florida Nepo baby, and a man with rats in his walls broke into Congress.
Lauren, what the committee and Republicans, I guess, have to look at here is what pattern might be emerging. There was also a letter from his mother that she now denies, and she doesn't deny writing the letter, but she pulls back on the comments she made. And then other instances, former and present Fox News employees and people who spent time with him working out in the field have similar descriptions that might point to a pattern of alcohol abuse.
I mean, there's so much here in terms of the just layers of problematic issues with this nominee. Setting aside the fact that he's just grossly underqualified and in no way in the ballpark of, you know, experienced enough to run a department this big. The number of questions about his character, about his abuse of alcohol, about his potential abuse of women, his statements about women in the military. I mean, the list is just so long. And I keep thinking about some of the women in the Senate, like Joni Ernst, who've spent, you know, a decade trying to root out abusive, you know, and sexual assault in the military. Like, how they can overlook this and go ahead and potentially vote for him, it is just unimaginable. And, you know, I was thinking about what the Pod Save guys were saying about Democrats pushing back. There was such an opportunity here. You know, they just confirmed Marco Rubio. There wasn't any drama around it. There were no, like, personal attacks on him. There will be other nominees that Trump nominates who will sail through the process. I think Elise Stefanik is going to be another one. The idea that somehow this is just a Democratic smear campaign, Democrats have to push back around this. This is a guy who is a profound danger to national security. And, you know, I would like to see us, you know, instead of going after some of the personal feelings, yes, he had affairs. Americans don't care about this. But the fact is, the guy is a danger, and he couldn't pass an FBI background check for a job half his senior. This is one that I hope Democrats will really try to die on the hill. Well, such an important point, and I think a lot of Americans have no idea the history that Rev just shared, and it's so important. I wanted to ask you also about other potential civil rights challenges. Rev and I were talking off air about the efforts to roll back DEI, and I have real questions about whether or not there's legal authority to do that, or to, you know, en masse fire people who are doing, you know, who are really actually working to protect the civil rights of diverse Americans. I know you're thinking a lot going forward about his agenda. Are there other issues like that that you expect you'll be defending?
Hey, look, I've said since November the 5th, I swore an oath as the chief law enforcement officer and the attorney for 9.5 million people that we will uphold the Constitution of this country and our state. That's what I and my colleagues said we would do. By the way, the president swore an oath saying the same thing. So we're going to look at every issue as to whether or not what he is doing violates the law, violates the Constitution. And if the answer is yes, and it hurts our residents, we're not going to be afraid of a fight to step up. It's not about whether I agree with him. It's not about politics. It's about whether the rule of law, it has to mean something in this country. And when we talk about that, that's what we're talking about.
New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Plotkin, thank you very much for coming on the show today. We appreciate it.